Iqra's Insights के प्रोग्राम में आज हम आपको मदू करते हैं. Tazeen Hinna Ghaffar is one of our guests. I'm going to be a host, Kashif Mohammed Khan. Thank you, Tazeen, for coming to Iqra.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
So, how is the experience so far?
It's been really good, actually. Everyone's been very welcoming. I'm really impressed with the setup here, first of all, and also the level of work that's being produced by the students, the confidence level, the quality of the work that's coming out. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. We'll talk more about that. A little bit about you, and mashallah, you did your education. You were raised in UK.
That's right.
Finally, you were just mentioning you decided to come to Pakistan in October 2023.
Yes.
And since then, you have been here. Educated from Wimbledon School of Art, Cleveland College of Art. Your initial years have been into design. But later on, you have mentioned that you went into production.
I did.
And strategy for a lot of big brands back in UK.
Yeah.
So I think for the experience of my audience, the younger audience which you met today, we would love to know what exactly is this experience of, production and what you have been doing in the past. Mm. So would love to know a little bit about that.
For me, the transition actually came from designer to production when I started my own business. So I had my own manufacturing unit within London, and we specialised in denim. We were doing a design and development service for small designers who couldn't invest in putting down big numbers and big units in the Far East or Italy. But wanted to include denim in their collections. I was the main manufacturer for children's denim for Burberry's of London for a number of years. And that's really where I learnt production, and I learnt about strategizing, time planning, procurement. When you have your own business, you are everything. In the early years, you're everything to that business. You're not just the managing director, you're also the person that fixes the machines and you're the accountant, and you are literally everything. So I think that experience was really a big learning curve for me. And then after having done that for about 10 years, we experienced a lot of changes in the employment laws in the UK, and there were a lot of things that sort of came to a crossroads where you either go into it big and commit and start investing and looking for investors, or it was a good time to walk away and use that experience in another way. And I actually chose to use the experience, walk away, and to work with other design brands to help them build their production strategy and manage production for them, which is
interesting.
What I did.
So I thought you were working for these organizations, but you were an entrepreneur back in the days, and you created your own brand and then started working for them. So a quick question here. A lot of kids, I also teach some courses in fashion school. They're keen to develop their own brand from the very beginning. I mean, they're just about to graduate. They have no idea what the real world is all about. Do you think that's a good idea initially to start your brand?
That's a very difficult question. I'll tell you why. Because I understand why people want to do it. And I think that, it's got a lot to do with them wanting their freedom, creative freedom. I think that there are some real benefits from actually working for organisations, and I think that it teaches you a level of discipline. It teaches you about respecting guidelines. You can also build great contacts through that whole process. I think the biggest thing is the discipline of being a creative. Like, I think that we as creative people sometimes can strive for perfection, but perfection that doesn't actually arrive at a destination is not necessarily going to be a success. And ultimately, as a designer, you're there to have a final product. So I feel that working with especially the larger organizations who are very structured can provide that sort of discipline that's required to keep people on track. So you don't lose your creativity that comes from within you anyway. And I guess you can't learn creativity. You can learn how to hone it, train it, but you can't learn to be a creative. You can, however, learn discipline. So I feel that that's something that's.
I think that's an interesting answer, because in the initial years, you need that kind of discipline. So going and working for somebody else, and he's going to make sure you work for him. Tazeen, at the same time, would you love to share a little bit about some of these brands that you were working for, some big names?
Sure. So I've worked with the likes of, I've manufactured for, the main company I was working with would be Burberry's of London, probably one of the most iconic and famous ones. And I worked on all of their children's denim. As a production manager, I've worked with mainly British homegrown design houses. So I've worked with Pringle of Scotland, who are a heritage brand.
Okay.
You know, they've been around since 1815, who had knitwear mills in Scotland. And I've worked with other designers, Shearing Guild, who was also a London-based designer, Allegra Hicks. I've worked for a celebrity concept brand, 2812, by S. Miller, who was Sienna Miller, the actress, and her sister Savannah Miller. And we were owned by Pepe Jeans, the Pepe Jeans group. So we were under their umbrella. So that kind of had small designer brand vibes, but we had big punch backing, you know, so we had access to good big manufacturers and good resources, and also a Far East office. I've also worked with French Connection and Nicole Farhi. And then more recently, the role that I've actually retired from was head of production for a luxury brand called ERDEM. Who does a lot of red carpet. We do the Met Gala. We dress a lot of royal customers.
MashaAllah, great. So you have also achieved an accolade called Rising Star in 2017 from ALBA.
Yes.
We'd love to know a little bit about how you were able to manage this.
It was a real shock, actually. It was the London Asian Business Awards, and I still don't know how I was nominated, to be honest. I don't know who nominated me, and I never ever expected to win. It was a very difficult period in life generally, but for somebody at that point of my life and my career to recognise the difference that I'm making to an existing business, which is what I was awarded the award for, was really my contribution to an existing business. It was a very key time for ERDEM. I joined ERDEM when they had been in business. It was just coming up to their 10-year anniversary, and we were a company of, I think I was the 23rd employee. And when you consider that at the time that I've left the company, there were we'd over doubled that. We were like about 70 employees. So it was a key period of growth. And the hardest period of in a company's life is actually that growth spurt. So you don't want to do it too quickly. You need to keep up, production. You need to meet your demands. So I think to be recognised, especially at that period of time in my life, so it meant a lot to me, yeah.
Fantastic. So we were talking about your production experiences and strategic experiences. Now that you're in Pakistan, and I think you're already working with some of the brands here, what are some key differences that you have seen that differentiates working here and there?
Okay. So I'm not unfamiliar with working with Pakistan in terms of manufacture and sourcing. I was sourcing out of Karachi about 15 years ago. So I have some existing relationships with factories, manufacturers here. I think that the biggest difference that I find is keeping to timetables is one of the difficult ones. Commitment seems to be a little bit difficult, and attention to detail. I think that these are things that we really need to focus on. And sometimes there's a little bit of, it takes quite a long time to sort of get that idea and that understanding across to your counterparts or the people that are working in the factory or even on the factory floor as to why we need to achieve a certain standard or a certain finish, what it is that we're trying to achieve.
So those are some things that needs to be focused on.
And I think that another one which seems quite basic, but raw material sourcing is quite challenging.
Quite challenging, yeah. The supply chains can be an issue sometimes. You were one of the jury members today for the fashion students' thesis display. So what are some of your candid views about your experience today?
I was really impressed with the level of work that the students have produced. My comments would be that at BA level, I would have maybe expected to see more finished, resolved garments at the end of. If it was very much like a textiles show, so a lot of it is about surface interest, about fabrics, about concept, and there are some great pieces of art that are being shown.
Right.
There are a few students who have taken it to a very finished stage of clothing, of garments. And I think that the important thing to remember and maybe to help the students to understand is that as a designer, you're not just an artist. You're an artist that needs to produce a finished, resolved, functioning item. And I feel that, there's probably a bit more work that needs to be done in actually getting to that final stage.
I think that's a great piece of advice which should go well with us, and we'll see what we can do about it. Any last word of advice, message to our younger audience who will be starting their career soon, because these were the students who will be graduating and they would love to see this interview. So any last message, piece of advice?
Sure. I think that the biggest thing is that when you're launching your career, you have a lot of aspirations. You have been given almost a blank canvas to create. It's not going to be like that in industry. Industry is very different. You're probably not going to be designing in the first sort of even maybe 6 months of your career. And if you are, you're incredibly lucky. Don't be afraid and don't resent the small jobs, because actually how you do the small things and how you the mindset that you have when you approach the smaller tasks and the smaller jobs is actually how you'll be doing everything else. It translates. So, pay attention to the small details. Even there's a lot of learning to be had in that process of doing the running, of doing the fixing, of doing the unpicking, in all of those sorts of tasks. So enjoy the journey and don't be in too much of a rush.
Fantastic. I think that was a very nice piece of advice.
Thank you.
Don't rush things. You have life in front of us, but at this point of time, kids really want to rush things.
Take the opportunity to learn from the benefit of everybody else's mistakes.
Brilliant. Tazeen, it was a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you so much.
I think our audience would love to see this particular interview, and we were very, very, thankful in the sense that you took your time out.
I'm honored.
The kind of experience that you have, that you shared today.
It's been a great experience.
So lovely to have you, and we would love to see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.